our midfield three against Ipswich, caveat, yes, it's Ipswich, but on the back of 2 or 3 performances now, we put a Christmas jumper out doing best midfield in the world, and I think it was half tongue-in-cheek. I'm not sure it's as tongue-in-cheek anymore. I can't think of anything that midfield trio doesn't possess. Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai.
It's correct, and you're interested in the stats on Szoboszlai. Probably has had conversations with Slot saying they should actually be higher than they are. When you're asking a player to push into a 10 position and split the full-back and the right and their left-sided centre-back, which often Mo benefits from as well, with the ability he's got, that certainly his goal should be higher because he's got the ability to shoot from distance. Probably Trent aside might be one of the best strikers from distance we've got in the club. That's pretty good company, isn't it, if you're talking about those two. But you're right, that midfield, you've got Gravenberch who continues to prove that you don't need to be a destroyer to be the base of a midfield. You don't need to be Fabinho. You can end up on the right wing and you can end up going around people and you can see a pass. His passing's exceptional. His appreciation of the game's ridiculous. His first touch is... You couldn't compare his first touch with any of our recent, maybe a Thiago, in terms of a first touch. And then you've got McAllister, who last season kept us in a title challenge for 2 to 3 months towards the end of the year. And then now he doesn't stand out so much because the lads around him are meeting him along the way and doing as much as he's doing. So the balance in the midfield's really good. And you look along the rest of the league and I can't see the same balance. I think there's a couple of lads who play in the Newcastle team that are very good. Yeah. But I think if they were going to upgrade one, it might be Joe Linton, and the other two are exceptional players. But we've got all, like Dan said, all facets is a good word. We cover all the bases. We've got the defensive attributes. All 3 of them have got it, but we asked Dom to be more advanced. Yeah. And yet he's still the guy who often gets to the ball first from a defensive perspective. So in terms of what we talk about, players that typify a manager, who's Klopp's greatest ever player. People say Firmino typifies everything that Klopp was for lots of reasons. I think Szoboszlai is starting to cut that cast for what Slot's trying to do.
I really like that, and it's just worth pointing out the best midfield in the world's got a very strong significance for Liverpool fans. It was a staple of the terraces under Rafa Benitez. It went through. Song. It went through. There's a couple of variations on it, but I think Lucas Leiva got his name into it eventually. But naturally. The best midfield in the world: Xabi Alonso, Momo Sissoko, Gerrard and Mascherano. So there's 4 in there. I mean, Curtis Jones, I've got no problem with throwing him into the mix. And of course, you're talking about in Mascherano, Alonso, and Gerrard, Chloe. You're talking about just 3 generational talented footballers who've got the careers, now to back it up with the gift of hindsight. So I'm certain, because this is the internet, there'll be people who will just feel their blood frothing at the blood / mouth / any orifice. But the age these guys have got on them as well. Szoboszlai's 24, McAllister's 26, Curtis Jones 23, and his Gravenberch 22,
23 tops. Yeah.
He might even be.
I think he might be 22.
He's 22.
Still, to be honest,
yeah. He's not 23 till next season. And we're only talking about a handful of games where it's been absolutely spot on. But the ceiling of this team, Gravenberch's first season as a proper number 6 for us, a change role for McAllister, and again Szoboszlai really starting to flourish. And again, Harvey Elliott sat on the outside there. He gets into a lot of teams in this league and in the Champions League. Same with Curtis Jones.
Yeah, look, the midfield that is in the song holds a special place in my heart, and maybe that is just nostalgia. And also, I didn't get to see the best of those players because I was too young. I will get to see the best of these 3 players.
Real Madrid and Barcelona saw the best of 2 of them.
I'm going to say,
that was dead unfair.
That's
true. But even Gerrard, I didn't really get to see the best of him, which was dead sad. But I will hopefully be able to get to see the best of these 3 in a Liverpool shirt. And like you said there, they cover all the grounds. I mean, Ryan Gravenberch, I remember when he joined, I was so excited about him joining. And I will say this week in, week out, everyone, the pile on, I just never understood because the quality was just there. And I just always knew just give him time and he will be an absolute monster for you. I don't think I ever thought he'd be able to do it in the number 6 position because all of my worries were defensively. Like, he might switch off, he might not track the runner, he might not do this and that. Liverpool have played Ryan Gravenberch at centre-half this season, and at times I've looked at him and gone, my God, he might be our best centre-half, and he's not, because Virgil van Dijk plays for us.
Centre-back and DM at the same time.
Yes.
That's how good he is.
He is a joke and he's brilliant. And the fact that he had such a tough first season and in the second he's being taught a role that he was a box-to-box midfielder for Ajax. We got that. We knew he could do both sides. But to do what he's doing now, the pressure he's under, the way he turns still on the ball, and he's so aware of everything around him, his interceptions, the amount of the way he reads the game, that's not easy when you're such an attacking, advanced-minded midfielder. To learn that after a tough first season when everyone's questioning you under a new manager, and to put that into practice is incredible. And for me, I understand the Sobo point, but for me, Ryan Gravenberch is, alongside obviously Virgil Mo, the most important player for me on a team sheet week in, week out.
There's a reason why if you pick the top most minutes played by Liverpool footballers this season, they're the 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you obviously add in your McAllisters, who he goes under the radar, but the reason he goes under the radar is just because he's so good, and it's just like, yeah, we know that's what he does. Like, we knew what he did at Brighton, we saw it, and yeah, he carried us, and I think a lot of people are like, wow, but like the way he passes a ball, the way he moves, his tenacity is what I love. Like, I just expect that from him. Like, that doesn't surprise me anymore. So he just floats about and does what he wants. Yeah. And then you've got Dom, who is a player who has been questioned a little bit. So when he is in this kind of form, and you know the player he used to be and the player he was for the first 3 months after joining us, you see the quality they have. They cover every single department. They're a joy to watch, and when it works, we are unbelievable.
I agree.
I think the system didn't help him last season.
No, it didn't. Well, that's the thing. When Chloe says that, and I'm with Chloe, I've been a big Ryan Gravenberch fan since he arrived, because you could see it in flashes. You could see he had quality within him. But for not a single second did I expect it might be a 6. I remember somebody suggested to me on one of our news shows sometime, and I was like, come on, but the 6 is different now. That's why. A Klopp 6, he probably couldn't have done. Right. You know what I mean? Because it's a completely different way of playing the role. In this system, he can do. He has the skill set. But yeah, you've all said it all there, really. Alexis McAllister is just consistent 8 out of 10 every single week now. That's par for the course. That's just what he does. And he's done it for the most prolonged period. Ryan Gravenberch didn't really do it last season. Szoboszlai did, then didn't. With McAllister, just like, oh yeah, that's how he is. That's how he plays football.
He's now done
you know what
that
I mean?
in every midfield position.
Yeah,
McAllister.
Yeah.
You know,
because I think all 3 of them could arguably play in all 3 of them, which is a beautiful thing to have, by the way.
I would love to see Ryan Gravenberch
he could do it, because they've all got an eye for goal. They've all got quality on the ball. They're all technically very gifted. Like, all 3 of them could easily rotate, which again makes that midfield 3 as a 3 work so well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. I can't remember what recent show it was, but talked about great Liverpool midfields, and we talk about Alonso and Mascherano and Gerrard, of course, but actually the midfield that won stuff for Liverpool was Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum, or the precursor to it was obviously Henderson, Wijnaldum, Milner. Oxlade-Chamberlain getting a little look in there, but functionality was order of service, and it was often critiqued as not having enough, guile or enough going for it. I mean, bear in mind,
Champions League finals, the best illustration of that, isn't it?
Yeah, but also James Milner broke the record for most assists in a Champions League season, in 17-18.
Doesn't he?
Almost certainly, But the point is that they could do those things, but I think this midfield now can do everything that midfield could do, because it's got the determination and the grit and the work rate. I watch McAllister flying into tackles and coming away with it, and not, he's got that. He'll boot someone up in the air if you need to. Szoboszlai, he's probably the one who's the weakest at that, but actually is tracking back. He's got Jordan Henderson's engine in terms of covering every blade of grass along the way, and Gravenberch is getting to that position now where he's doing the lighthouse Fabinho type stuff. But then also, just every now and again, he'll do the Thiago drop of the shoulder. He'll slalom between 2 men, move us 25 yards up the pitch, and just pull up another piece of magic out. And yeah, if he can plug goals back into his game, which something Fabinho did have. You know, he had the occasional, a handful of goals every season as well. Then it's unreal. I just want to point out a super chat that we had while we were having this just before this discussion, in fact, from Ryan, who says, big up the panel and my main guy, Steve. There you go, mate. Nice. How good does our summer window of 2023 look? Szoboszlai since the November international break has been unreal. And, we've not even mentioned Endo, and I think, Dan, what we've also seen in the last handful of games is Endo coming in, and again, is he going to be a long-term midfielder for Liverpool? No. But when you consider all the press in the summer, all the stuff that whether it was being briefed or it was a general consensus, educated consensus that the manager didn't fancy him, didn't think he fit, he's now coming into football games, and he's not just coming in for 5 minutes as like a batten down the hatches kind of thing. We're able to. He's a rotational player, but I think he's coming in and showing again the depth of quality that we've got there.
Yeah, definitely for me. He's made himself a viable option again, hasn't he? Looked for a long time like he might not be that. So I've been really pleased with Maxi, and I think a lot of people are starting to change their mind on exactly what he is in terms of this squad. But the one thing you can never sort of question or doubt with Wataru Endo is his mentality and his commitment to the cause. I think we've seen that again the weekend. Good job he wears that gum shield, by the way. But his bravery is what sets him apart in the maddest way. It's such an easy tap-in of an observation to make because of the way he plays, and he throws himself into every single situation. But his determination and his willingness to fight for every single ball on the pitch is what makes him stand out for me. But yeah, again, I thought it was another really impressive cameo from him, and having been written off, I think, during the summer, and maybe rightfully so, because we were clearly heading towards a Ryan Gravenberch type 6, which doesn't suit Wataru Endo. I think every time he's been given opportunity, he's took it, really. And he shows a little bit on the ball, a bit more than I think we all give him credit for, to be honest with you. I think we're all quick to sort of pigeonhole him and say, well, he just tackles and wins it, and then that's it. But he's got a little bit. I like him.
Yeah. He's confident, he's experienced, he comes in and he just does the job that's asked of him, which is great. He is the kind of player, again, that bravery and the work rate and the desire. We've had tons of footballers who had that, but it was seen as like above and beyond. Like it was something special. Like their Kite had that, Mascherano had that. But it's a mark of how good the general level of squad is. I know we're in the transfer window. We'll probably touch on transfers in part 2, if there's anything to touch on there, really. But I can understand why the bar is very high, Steve, in terms of getting into that midfield now. Yeah. And what is it? Luck, or is it circumstances conspiring in our favour, or is it just great training? Who knows? Gravenberch being the 6, I can't see that there's many players in world football that you could buy or could have bought in the summer, more pressingly, that would have done that job better than what he's done. McAllister looks like he's gone up a level, and Szoboszlai, and then when you consider Elliott can't get a look in, basically. Curtis Jones is now finding himself starting to be pushed out. We've got a fucking brilliant midfield, and we've got sensational depth there. It does, going back to Ryan's question, that the summer business from the season before, you can see why there was a watch and wait sort of briefing there. Yeah. Go and get the best out of these lads. We spent £150 million on the midfield. Go and make it worth $250 million.
And it wasn't something that was going to reap rewards overnight. And because of Klopp's decision to go, and then the sort of drop off towards the end of the season, people didn't really start to look at that midfield in the way that we are now. But now we've got a little bit of extra control inside and off the ball. We've got situational stuff being done in training. There's more control in the team. You get the best out of bringing 3 players in with that ability and not asking them to be Fabinho, Henderson and Ronaldo, because we don't say get in the battle zone and go and win the ball back and give it to Bobby and then he'll trigger the Mane and Salah. It's not that anymore. They contribute so much more. It's kind of having the point you made before about Szoboszlai's work rate being Henderson-esque, but not to criticise Henderson's career or him as a person, but sometimes he needed 3 touches to move a ball, and then the things around him dissipated in front of his eyes. We've got 3 forward-thinking midfielders now that are so good in terms of front foot footballing teams. Football teams is the way to win competitions. We've seen that in the modern era, certainly in the recent 2 or 3 years. We've got those players that their first thought is to get the ball out with their feet and look forward, and that hasn't always been the case. We've suffocated teams with a work like midfield. Now we've got it's a bit more cavalier. There's a bit more finesse in it. So, and it's great. It's great to see, and we'll get more goals from those positions and solve more problems in games when teams do nullify the attacking threat. You've got these 3 lads behind. We've all got a little bit of something.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that one. I mean, Dom Szoboszlai, someone should just be saying to him, 10 goals, mate. 10 goals all comps.
Yeah,
if you can get to that, then we are absolutely laughing.
I think the 6 point, just take quick on the transfer side of things, is an interesting one because Gravenberch has clearly moved the needle on that. I think because had he not have been quite as exceptional and quite as much of a revelation as he has been, it would have been interesting to see had Liverpool gone back for Zubimendi to use him in January. But he was so good that the goalpost of what it was required to be Liverpool's number 6 had moved significantly. So Zubimendi all of a sudden wasn't being brought in to be the guy plug and play, there you go. We're actually looking maybe for who's going to come in and sort of supplement with Endo's minutes and be a backup and a long-term option there. So Liverpool may well have been interested in Zubimendi again in January. That's just you keep using him as an example. But Zubimendi might look at that and go, well, I can't play ahead of Ryan Gravenberch because he's boss. You know, I'm not getting in that team anymore. So it's interesting how the dynamic works because I don't know whether Liverpool were completely convinced he was going to be as good as he was. But lo and behold, he is. So therefore, everything's different.
Well, lo and behold, players are not fixed in concrete. You know, they aren't the finished article. They go in and they work countless hours, day in, day out, on self-improvement, new manager, new messaging, new system, and sometimes players flourish. And it goes both ways. There's players, Harvey Elliott's actually a good flip of the coin example that maybe what Liverpool do won't in the long term suit Harvey Elliott as a style of footballer. The archetype might be Dom Szoboszlai, and if that's the case, that it just might not be right. But actually what we could be finding now is that, Gravenberch is now defined the template. That's what it looks like now. So actually when we go into the market to buy someone else who can play DM, it might be someone who looks far more like Gravenberch than maybe I think we would have expected certainly 12 months ago.